All right, everybody, we are back. Welcome back. We're moving on to the last session of our keynote speech come thematic session B, building a high-quality social impact investment and financing trading center. Now, this session will have presentations and discussions conducted in both English and Mandarin, so participants who require simultaneous interpretation can rent a headset at the simultaneous interpretation counter, also known as the SI counter, near N104. Now, if you have a headset already at this moment, for English, please turn to channel 1. For Putonghua, please turn to channel 2. And for Cantonese, please turn to channel 3. And with that, let's make this happen. We are honored to have our facilitators, Mr. Francis Ngai, Founder and Chief Executive Officer, SVHK, as well as Ms. Le Hui Liang, Head of Purpose Capital, SVHK, to the stage. Come on over here. Francis and Le Hui, the time is yours. The stage is yours. Take it away.
Thank you, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our session, the keynote speech and thematic session B. And today we'll be discussing building a high-quality social impact investment and financial trading center. So I'm Le Hui from Social Ventures Hong Kong. I'm your co-facilitator for this session.
I'm Francis from Social Ventures Hong Kong as well.
Yeah, so today we have a really exciting session for you. We have 3 different speakers from different backgrounds, and they're coming here to share their insights with us as we explore the key elements to a successful social impact investment and financial trading center. So our session comes in 3 parts. The first part will have speeches by each of our 3 speakers, and our 3 speakers are Mr. Lawrence Lee, the chairman of the Financial Services Development Council, Dr. Liu Suyi, the chairman of the Regional Equity Market Committee of the Securities Association of China and the general manager of Tianfu Sichuan Joint Equity Trading Center. And joining us online from Singapore, we have Ms. Roshini Prakash, the Chief Knowledge Officer of AVPN. So after the speeches, we will regroup all on stage for a panel discussion. And at the last section, we will open the floor up to questions from the audience. So if you have any questions along the way, I believe there's an app where you can input your questions and we'll read them out from the iPad later. So without further ado, let's start our session. May I please welcome Mr. Lawrence Lee on the stage for his keynote speech. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I was quite nervous coming over here. I give speeches almost for a living. I'm a barrister, I go to court, so for me to be nervous is really quite rare. And I'm nervous for 3 reasons. The first 2 I can pretty much overcome. The first is this is the last session of the day. I got here and I asked for coffee and they ran out, which must mean that you guys have dosed yourself as much as you can, and that helps me a little bit at overcoming the first reason to be nervous. The second reason to be nervous is I know the people who spoke before me. I'm just met the people who are going to speak after me, and in between I think, oh my God, I don't have very much to say. Certainly not as much energy as Francis and Li Hui, whom I've known for decades, and far fewer insights compared to Dr. Liu and Roshini, whom I am meeting. But again, I say I can pretty much overcome the second reason to be nervous too, because it just gives me an excuse to be short. I was hoping that Francis and Li Hui will say more, and then I just plead that I'll leave more time for Dr. Liu and Roshini, and so I won't speak very much, and I was going to overcome the second reason to be nervous. The true reason why I'm actually still not sure what to say is the third reason. Now, I am here, as Li Hui introduced, as the chairperson of the Financial Services Development Council of Hong Kong. A public service role that I do spend quite a bit of time on. But you know what? Much that we like to talk about finance and social impact and social investing, that link is actually really more talk than real, at least when it comes to much of what the Hong Kong financial service industry spend time thinking about. Now, but I'm going to actually, I'm a lawyer. That's what I do day in, day out. So I'm going to give it a positive spin. I will fully acknowledge that it is a positive spin. I hope that by spinning it this way, then we can all work on it, and very, very much that you can help me and help the people that I represent, the financiers, the money people, the people who don't really know what's going on in the world, who think in terms of numbers, who look at screens, who go make deals happen, but then promptly forgot what deals really mean for real life. That by putting on the spin that I'm going to put on social impact and social investing and finance, that you will come along with me, change me, and help me change the people that I represent. And I'm going to begin that spin by telling you something about me. I'm here as the chairperson of the Financial Services Development Council, but that's not really excites me. What really excites me is that I am a longtime friend of Francis. And he got me into social enterprise. Way before I got involved with FSDC, I was luckier. I got involved with Francis. And one day, Francis told me, God, this must have been 30 years ago, 20-something years ago. He said, Lawrence, I'm going to quit my job. And those of you who don't know Francis very well, he used to be head of strategy at PCCW, a pretty cushy job. And he said, Lawrence, I'm going to quit my job. And I said, well, what are you going to do? He says, I've identified this thing called social enterprise. And I'm going to found this new organization called Social Ventures Hong Kong. And I'm basically thinking, either you are drunk or I'm drunk. I think I gave, well, what at the time was a bit disingenuous advice, but by now has turned out to be the right advice, which is go for it. He went for it. And he's where he is, and I'm still where I am. But you know what? I think, speaking personally, most of the fun I've had in the last 20-something years has very little to do with the fact that I stay in the law, very little to do with the fact that I became the chairperson of the Financial Services Development Council, and a lot more to do with the fact that I know Francis. I got involved with SCHK. He introduced me to people like Rebecca, who in turn introduced me to people like Dr. Liu and the many of you. And I'm here today still learning about a subject that is far more difficult than finance, because you guys are about impact that is not measured in terms of days. You guys are about impact that is not measured in terms of monetary return. And you guys are bold enough to say that you are doing good work, you're confident about doing good work, and you don't mind being measured in terms of money and days. And you reach out to people like me to ask, how could I help? When in truth, it's quite the other way around. Now, all that is not just buttering you up. I mean it. One of the things that Francis has gotten me really involved in is this social enterprise called Lightbee. And true to my law and finance background, when I talk about Lightbee, I talk in terms of numbers. I talk how we have helped 500 plus families. The numbers are we have 500 plus units that we can use to help people. We have helped 2,000 plus families, and that our turnaround time, that is the families that come live in our social transitional housing project, they actually transitioned back on their feet in less than 3 years, so on and so forth. I'll give you numbers. How we don't actually take direct funding from government, and even when they actually try to give us direct funding, we refuse. We just take landed properties because we don't want to be subject to too much bureaucracy, so on and so forth. I can tell you the story. But at the end of the day, something I have learned. I've learned about why it is so difficult for someone like me to speak on stage today is because the fun and the real impact that I see, that I experience, that I remember far deeper than the numbers that I can recite to you, is the impact, is to see how families change, is to see how when Lightbee went to collect rent, we refuse to accept auto-pay because we want to maintain that human touch with the families that we help. It is far more important to Lightbee that we visit them once every month at the very least, even when the families purport to not need any extra help. We still insist that we see them at least once every month. And we see them at a time when they're having dinner. Yes, we do actually go up and collect rent when they're having dinner. You know why? Not because it's embarrassing, but exactly because that is the time of the day when people are least on guard. And a relationship between what is technically a landlord, much that we are a social enterprise, we're technically a landlord, and the families that we help. At dinner time, that relationship is not defined by rent. That relationship is not defined by the social housing contract that we have signed. At dinner time, that relationship is actually defined by the family having cooked their food, having something to spare for their quote-unquote landlord, and we sit down and we are a guest. We are a friend. And it is actually at times like that that I thought, that is why it's so much more fun to be doing what you're doing, but at the same time, so difficult for someone from my world to actually make these two worlds work together. Because fundamentally, I must confess, we do operate very differently. Financiers, yes, we all talk a nice talk, we all give a story of how we can help, but fundamentally, it is you helping the financiers regain some of that humanity that we have lost along the way. That in the whisk of electrons and trading billions of dollars in split second, we have lost that ability to sit down and have a dinner, impromptu, cooked at home by a family that we think we're helping, but is actually the other way around. So, my friend, at the end of the day, I don't really want to come and talk big things about how finance can help social impact. I want to tell you the real truth. The reason why people like me have gotten involved in your world is not because we can help. It's not because we know how to make things a lot bigger for you. We have gotten involved because we realize we have lost something along the way. We are here to learn, and the reason why finance is interested in you, I emphasize again, is finance has gotten interested in you. It's not you reaching out to finance for help. Finance have discovered you and discovered themselves. They want to be involved because both the capitalist, the investors, the financiers have realized society is a lot more than about numbers, that they are the ones who have lost some of that humanity along the way, and that they want to feel at the end of the day that they are not just looking at a screen. They want to rediscover the feeling of having an impact, and that's why they are seeking you out. So don't sell yourself short. Don't think that people like me in a nice suit and sitting on however high the floor is with whatever view we have something that you don't know. It really is quite the other way around. And now, I do have to sing for my coffee, although coffee did not come. So I will give you a piece of advice. I will give you a piece of advice, tied very much to what I've just said. And that is this. Don't sell yourself short. When you interact with the world of finance, with the world of investors, with the world of people who do have some capital that might help you grow bigger, you do not approach that investor or that financier or that professional like me from the point of view of you seeking help. But you approach people like me, You approach people that I represent. You approach the capitalist as an very simple answer. He says, well, instead of looking at the tech, I look at the guy who comes talk about his tech, and if I can feel his passion, then I know I stand a pretty good chance investing in him. And it has turned out to be so true. I look around and I see the successful investments in the financial world all have to have a passionate entrepreneur, a passionate advocate. And you know what? It's also that even if those ventures fail as a business proposition, something is gained. And I have many, many friends who went into business on their own, passionately, and at the end, when their enterprises don't take off, they themselves have benefit. And they have always been able to find the next backer, the next employer, the next worthwhile project, simply because they are passionate people. So may I suggest that you do not approach the world of finance or other professional, seemingly difficult topics with any sense of being disadvantaged. You should very much feel that you are the one who is coming to the table with something that cannot be learned by other people at the table because you have passion. So for that, I thank you. Please give me a bit of your passion today so that I can go back and face the judges and face the financiers and face others in a world that is far less interesting and far less truly impactful than yours. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Lawrence. Don't sell ourselves short. I think that's one thing that we need to remember. Okay, next up, let's invite Dr. Liu Su-yi, who came all the way from Chengdu to share with us his idea on the stock exchange that he's working on. Liu 博士，请。
啊，专业的是吧？朝这里啊，好。非常期待能够做这一个分享和交流的一个环节啊。刚才非常赞同李达律师的一个基本观点啊，就是当我们接触到社会企业这个领域的时候，我们长期做金融的人员，天天和数字交易打交道的时候，突然发现原来还有更高尚的这个事情。比做资金、做交易赚钱还有更有意义的事情，所以这个社会企业啊，我也是2年前接触到以后，实际上大概不到半天时间，我觉得好，这个是个好事儿，我愿意干，我专门利用我们作为证券交易所的这么一个资源和力量来做社会企业这件事儿，所以我就非常赞同啊，刚才。李大律师啊，李主席啊，一个基本的观点，我觉得大家的感受是一样的。很高兴呢，今天来分享啊，其实我还是很期待的，因为我们在天府股权交易中心啊，专门设了一个社会企业专版以后，我们也是希望能够和各界啊，特别是具有国际视野和实践的这个区域啊，能够做沟通和交流，所以。说实在，我花2、3天时间出来演讲，其实还是比较少的，所以说我也是对这个交流啊非常的期待。同时，我们也希望能够把我们啊1年多的一个探索和实践啊，能够跟大家做一个分享，希望大家能够沟通交流啊，互相借鉴。特别也是啊，希望大家能够更多的关注我们内地的啊社会企业的发展。能够关注我们成都啊这个社会企业的发展，到我们成都去啊创业啊。我想下面呢就是我的主题啊，就是说还是这个题目啊，给大家汇报一下我们创办天府股交的社会企业专版的这么一个基本情况。 我想第一呢，给大家要汇报一下啊，这个社会企业专版，我们说是基本性质来说啊，我们叫把社会企业的发展和我们的证券交易场所能够结合起来。基本目的也就是说，能够把我们的社会企业把它引进资本市场的大门，介绍给我们资本市场的投资者。希望能够利用资本市场的交易场所、服务体系等等，能够促进我们社会企业的一个发展。我们基本上是这么一个的基本做法。那么我们的基本的出发点和原理也就是跟这次社企高峰会的主题是一样的。这边叫跨界创新，福祉永续。我们创办这个社会企业专版的一个标题或者叫主题，我们也叫促进社会企业发展，助力共同富裕实际上也是我们一个大的一个社会理想。就像我们这个大陆现在最高的我们习近平总书记最大的一个倡议构建人类命运共同体。这个性质其实也是一样的，所以我们想，我们天府股交中心创办的社会企业版，我们促进社会企业发展，助力共同富裕，和这次峰会的主题“跨界创新，福祉永恒”，道理上、精神上是完全相通的那么下面呢，我想我先简单的介绍一下我们社会企业版在我们大陆的这个多层次资本市场里边所处的一个基本位置中国的这个证券市场现在已经发展成一个多层次的证券交易场所，是这么一个概念这是我们一个基本的市场的一个层次架构。因为在大多数的人的概念里边都是想的证券交易所就是上市公司这么一个基本概念。那么从资本市场的发展历史来说，证券交易所和上市公司基本上是资本市场的塔尖是最明星的部分。实际上我们现在的一个证券交易场所，我们用金字塔这个方式划分了5个层次，也就是说大陆的证券交易所新3版和我们区域性的股权市场这么一个3级的一个架构。分了5个层次的板块，最塔尖的就是我们深圳和上海交易所的主板，也就是专门为大型的、稳定成熟的蓝筹企业设立的证券市场的板块。那么再往下第2层级呢，就是我们的为科技型的、成长性的这些企业设计的一个板块。在上海证券交易所叫科创板，在深圳证券交易所叫创业板是基本上是这么一个概念。那再往下第3层我们实际上有一个叫北京证券交易所的概念。北京证券交易所设立的时间不是太长，那么它现在专门定位成中小型的科技型的企业，它的一个证券交易场所这么一个专门的板块。再往下我们还有一个叫新3版，也就是专门针对中小企业的股份转让设立了一个全国性的证券交易场所，我们叫新3版，简称叫新3版。那么塔基最后一层第4层，我们叫新4版，也就是我们的正规名称叫区域性股权交易市场是这么一个概念。那么区域性股权交易市场是我们证券法规定的一个法定的证券交易场所。所以大家看到，从这么一个金字塔的结构看下来，在我们中国大陆已经构建了比较完善的证券交易场所的层次，应该说每个层次都适合不同的发展规模和发展阶段的一个企业基本上是这么一个概念。那就是我要报告大家的最重要的一句主题，就是我们现在的社会企业。因为大多数还处于一个创立、创业和发展的早期，是中小型为主的，所以说它适合的一个证券交易场所的层次，就是我们区域性的股权市场，也就是说在塔基的这个位置 啊，所以说这是第一个啊要点。第二个，我们两边啊有2句注释啊，我们说企业的发展啊，我们是先挂牌后上市，也就是说在基层的证券交易场所先培育和孵化，然后逐步成长发展壮大，最后到证券交易所成为上市公司这么一个通道啊，也就是由塔基往塔尖发展上升，是这么一个概念。另外一个呢，从做法上啊，我们现在基本的一个做法就是先在4板挂牌，培育孵化为主啊，发展壮大，然后呢可以再去全国性的证券交易场所去发行股票和交易转让，最后达到上市公司的一个发展目标啊，这也是每个企业家啊，不管大小的梦想，就是做上市公司啊，把自己的企业做成上市公司。所以说啊，给大家报告的这第一个意思就是我们的社会企业现在在我们区域性股权市场啊，面向的是中小微的这个企业类型，所以说最适合的一个市场层次。第二个问题呢，就报告一下啊，我们天府股交中心作为区域性的一个股权市场，我们的一个业务架构情况。大体上来说啊，我们干的业务领域啊，我们分了上面的5个板块啊。第一个基本的我们的功能和作用就是一个私募的证券交易场所，我们也是和沪深北京3个证券交易所基本功能作用是一样的，都是以这个发行和交易转让股票、债券、投资基金为主的，这个功能是一样的，但是区别在于说，区域股权市场有2个区别，一个我们是私募性质的，也就是说是以1对1的定制化为主的一个市场层次，不是公众的公募的市场，这是第一个区别。第二个区别来说，我们是区域性的，也就是说中国的区域性股权市场是按照省级辖区来设置的，我们一共有35个区域性的股权市场，构成了这么一个全国性的一个网络和层次，就是每省的注册的工商注册的社会企业都在本辖区的这个区域性股权市场。所以说，第一个我们的功能叫私募的证券交易场所。第二个基本的功能，我们主要干的其实也就是投融资对接平台的一个作用，把投资方和融资方，也就是说把投资者和企业能够对接在一起啊，有成体系的一个对接平台。第三个呢，我们取了一个词叫4板券商，这个概念啊，就是说证券公司的这么一个基本功能和作用。这是我们中国区域股权市场一个创新性的一个制度安排。国际惯例来说，证券交易所和证券公司是完全分离的啊，互相的职能作用是分离的。但是在中国大陆的区域性股权市场，这个证券交易所和证券公司的4板券商的功能是合在一起的。所以说，我们既办证券交易场所，又做证券公司，还直接帮投融资双方来操办这个项目啊，也就是做4板券商的一个作用。第4个呢，我们叫一个证券登记托管机构的一个概念，就是相当于现在我们这个香港的这个证券交易所及结算所的结算的那个功能，也就是所有的证券的确权登记是在这个机构里边来进行。第5个呢，我们还把这个私募的股权投资基金啊，建立这么一个服务平台啊，引入私募的股权投资基金来参与我们市场的股权投资。所以说，我们的这个基本功能啊，就上面这么5项功能，下面6、7、8、9、10是我们的一些运作方式。那么我们天府股权交易中心呢，目前来说啊，有一个数据统计表，这是截止到2022年底的一个数据统计表。简单说一下啊，3个数据。第一个，现在在我们天府股权交易中心挂牌和展示的企业，去年的7月份正式开板的，也就是运行了1年的时间。现在整个的这个增长速度啊还是比较快， 挂牌企业呢已经达到78家，整个展示的企业达到104家的这么一个概念。第二点呢，就是说啊，我们这个进入天府股交的这个社会企业啊，在我们成都市已经占到我们成都社会企业的大约50%，也就是说，我们成都地区里边50%的社会企业已经进入到我们天府股交中心挂牌和展示。第三呢，就是我们的基本功能啊。现在在全国来说，我们了解了一下，在证券市场，也就是资本市场开办专门的社会企业版，我们好像还是第一个啊。目前来说还是第一个。我们正在计划向全国其他的区域股权市场来推广我们社会企业版，让我们更多的社会企业能够和资本市场相结合。最后啊，就是报告一下我们社会企业版到底起一些什么样的这个基本作用啊。我们大概概括下来3个方面。第一个方面就是帮助社会企业进入资本市场，啊，第一个功能就是说，借助我们这个证券交易场所来为社会企业做宣传展示，让资本市场的投资者能够知道我们社会企业，因为我们的社会企业都是中小企业，最缺乏的就是大家不知道还有这样的企业在，更不知道社会企业承担的一个这种社会化的一个先进的或者是高尚的一个功能，所以说需要更多的一个宣传展示。通过宣传展示啊，能把我们社会企业亮丽的一方面推荐给投资者。第二个作用就是投融资对接啊，这个投融资对接到底指什么？我们概括了一句话啊，也叫一句顺口溜，叫发股票、发债券、交易转让、办贷款、投资基金、把股菜。也就是证券市场干的品种和项目，我们帮社会企业都可以干啊。再强调一下啊，发股票、发债券、交易转让、办贷款、投资基金、把股菜，实际上我们干的投融资对接就这么一件事。第三个最后一句啊，就是说啊，我们通过啊这个逆上市的专版选育孵化，把一些优质的社会企业能够及早的搜集、汇聚和选拔出来，并且通过我们的社会企业版啊做培育孵化，能够让它逐步的发展壮大。大概的作用是这么3个方面的一个作用。那我们现在已经挂牌的社会企业里边，已经有发展的很好的企业，有一些案例做的应该说还是相当好。就我们说的投融资对接这个事儿，基本上已经是做到了，并且有1、2个社会企业和上市公司居然已经开始在谈并购啊，因为上市公司也需要这么一个环节的这个产业链条补齐，所以我们觉得说2年来啊，我们天府股交中心的这个社会企业版应该说总体上这个运行还是比较稳定的，发展速度也还比较快。但是总的来说啊，我们把证券交易场所和社会企业结合在一起，仅仅是一个尝试，还是一个初步的一个探索，还处于一个刚刚开始摸索的一个过程中。所以就像我开头说的啊，我们也非常期待通过这次的交流和分享啊，能够学习到我们香港地区同仁啊更先进的一些理念做法，包括啊你们碰到的一些问题啊，到底在发展过程中会有些什么问题，我们也很有兴趣了解。这也可能是我们下一步会碰到的一些问题，因为共性可能都是存在的。最后一点也是啊，再提个倡议啊，希望各位在座的各位啊，并且通过大家能够关注我们内地的这个社会企业的发展啊，特别是到我们成都去参观考察啊。我们成都是一个人间美食的地方啊，通用词叫这个巴适的伴啊，巴适就是非常自然的一种生活方式，非常丰富的美食啊，再加上我们社会企业版啊，邀请各位同仁去我们成都参观考察体验。谢谢各位。
谢谢您，刘博士，谢谢。Thank you very much, Dr. Liu. I'm sure many of us will take him up on the offer to visit and learn more about the social developments in Chengdu. Okay, we are on to our next and final speaker, Ms. Roshini Prakash, who's joining us all the way from Singapore. As she's unable to fly in, we will have her online. Are we ready? Okay, yes, there we go. Hi, Rosh, and take it over from here.
Hello, everyone. I hope you can hear me well. I'm very sorry that I am not able to be there in person with you today, but grateful to the team at SVHK, Francis and Le Hui, for allowing me to join you virtually. Today, what I would like to share with you is some trends in impact investing that we see in Asia. But let me start first with telling you who I am and who I represent. So I am the Chief Knowledge Officer at an organization called AVPN. AVPN is a regional membership network. We're headquartered in Singapore, where I now am, but we have representatives across 13 markets in the region, including in Hong Kong, where our partners are SVHK. Our mission is to support our 600 plus members in mobilizing increased and more effective financial, human, and intellectual capital towards social impact in Asia. So our members come from a range of organizations. There may be foundations, family offices, companies, financial institutions, impact funds, development finance institutions, and government-linked entities, as well as intermediaries and service providers. They join us to connect with like-minded as well as unusual allies, to learn from each other's ideas and experiences and explore opportunities to take action together. Now, the field of impact investing in Asia is a new but a very rapidly growing one. According to the Global Impact Investing Network, assets under management in Asia have grown at a compounded annual growth rate of 15% between 2017 and 2022. That reflects very strong market interest in the continent. Certain countries like India and Singapore have well-established impact investing ecosystems, but other Asian countries have been catching up quickly, which contributes to the overall regional growth. So in Southeast Asia, for example, on an aggregate basis, $6.9 billion in impact capital has been invested in enterprises through close to 400 impact deals in just the 2 years between 2020 and 2022. You've just heard from Dr. Liu about the ecosystem in China, and China has always had a very dynamic social investing environment. There's also a lot of green bonds in China, and now China has the second largest market for green bonds in the world. Overall, the number of impact investment funds in Asia has been rising. These focus on a wide range of sectors, including healthcare, clean energy, education, financial inclusion. The volume of impact investment deals has also been increasing, with a growing number of startups and enterprises attracting impact capital to scale their operations. And as you heard from Lawrence just earlier, we shouldn't be afraid of speaking to investors about our own organizations and the enterprises that we want to support, because they're more than willing to hear us out and support an interesting proposition. Many Asian governments are showing support for the impact investing ecosystem through regulatory changes, tax incentives, and dedicated funding programs. And across the region, we have seen a lot of institutional investors starting to be active in impact investing, including, for instance, Thematic, which is the sovereign wealth arm in Singapore, which established ABC Impact, which is an Asian-focused PE fund for impact investing. And in Malaysia, the sovereign wealth fund Khazanah Nasional established Dana Impact, which is an impact fund with a $1.3 billion portfolio to be deployed over 5 years. So as you can see, across the ecosystem, there has been a lot of activity and a lot of interest in supporting enterprises to grow and to be a bit more effective in the deployment of capital and their solutions for the communities that they support. Of course, Asian family capital has an important role to play in the growth of impact investment in Asia. We all know that in Asia, there is a lot of new and intergenerational wealth. 42% of global wealth now resides in Asia. It is frequently still linked to operating businesses. So what drives sustainability in the operating business also links to impact strategies in the family investment portfolio. We see many families in this region keen to align their personal values, business goals, and philanthropic aims through their family offices and foundations. They also like to be a bit more hands-on, and they are very in tune with innovative mechanisms and instruments. The idea of patient capital, catalytic capital that accepts disproportionate risk and concessionary returns has the potential to help close the gap that is left by government and mainstream capital resonates very well with next-gen investors looking to deepen the impact of their family's philanthropic practices. But as you all know, and you have heard across the day, impact investing doesn't happen in silos. Each of us brings unique expertise and knowledge to the table. We all have our own motivations, and we all feel that by bringing our best, engaging actively in knowledge sharing, engaging in a wide spectrum of a larger community of stakeholders helps us bring the cross-sectoral and synergy that we need to create the innovative solutions and partnerships that we know will drive greater impact. And we at AVPN feel that there is enormous potential in this sphere, even though today there may be some sense of a distance between financial capital and impact capital. Actually, that gap is rapidly closing, and it will take all of us to collaborate across the ecosystem to bring that desire and that potential to fruition. So this June, we organized an inaugural Impact Investing Day as part of our global conference in Kuala Lumpur. And we found that there were over 1,300 people, investors, thought leaders, LPs, GPs, intermediaries, everybody coming together with excitement and energy, sharing their insights on a range of topics from trends, opportunities, impact measurement and management, and even journeys to successful exits. This energy was so tremendous. It gave us hope, and it gives us a lot of confidence that this is only going to grow from here. And I'm so pleased that we are having conversations like this one today to see how we can work better together. And I am looking forward to seeing what progress we will make between this year and next in achieving our impact goals. So thank you very much, and looking forward to the conversation.
Thank you very much, Roshini. Thank you. So as she shared, there's a lot of promise in the sector we are in, and so it's up to us, work harder to bring that all to fruition. Now we'll move on to the panel section of our session today. May I please invite Francis, Lawrence, and Dr. Liu on stage, and we'll also have Roshini joining us online as well. In the meantime, if everyone has any questions, please feel free to put it in the Mentimeter app, and we'll get to them once we're done with this section.
Hi. So maybe I will start the first questions, maybe?
Yeah, sure.
Maybe I will address to 刘博士，如果你可以的话，第一个问题就是说，你现在在成都在做的，我觉得是在亚洲地区也是比较超前点了，已经，所以就这个是我们很光荣的事情啊。但同步，你觉得因为金融发展局的主席在这儿，你觉得香港值不值得去做这个事情？这个问题就是说，走到最初。你们在内地去拍板、去立项、去做这个事情的时候，你的考量觉得，应该要等那个ecosystem 会比较蓬勃的时候才做啊，还是目前觉得，我们要先做这个事情，再去提成下来整个事情。所以，如果香港要做的事情，你觉得第一值不值得？第二，中间要考量的事情应该是什么？
非常感谢啊。我想这样哈，第一呢，就是我们在决定天府股交社会企业专版的时候，说实在，第一个考量是我在给我提这个提案的同志讲完以后，我首先觉得这是个好事儿，符合我们促进共同富裕的主题。所以说我有这个判断以后，我首先就认可这个事情。第二呢，我也没有考虑那么多，因为我是这个天府股交中心的总经理，我又在担任一个职务，就是这个中国证券业协会区域市场委员会的主任，就是也还推动全国的这个4板市场的发展。所以基于这个嘛，我马上决定可以在天府股交先设一个社会企业板。所以说这个呢，我也有这么一个基本权限啊，有这个资源，所以说我觉得是个好事，我又能够决定，我马上就做了决定。第三呢，我们向我们四川省的金融监管局做了申请，就是他要批准我开办这个板才可以。这个板不是谁说想办就可以办的，它是一个要符合证券法的规定，符合监管规定，这么一个复杂的一个法律程序啊，所以他要认可。所以我们申请了以后，这个四川省金融局也批准我们创办这个社会企业板。在我们开板的时候，应该说还是很热闹的，就是各方啊还是非常支持。我们四川省的金融局的局长亲自来主持致辞，线上观看我们开板仪式的也有50多万的这么一个受众。所以总的来说，这个事我们决定的时候好像没有考虑的特别之多。第二个您问到的说，在香港知不知道做这个事儿？我觉得可能这个题目是说给李主席啊，这个再问李啊，实际上你是在问李主席啊。但是我先在李主席回答之前，我先说一下我个人看法啊。第一，我觉得社会企业的发展在中国大陆是有巨大的一个发展空间的，有4个背景。第一个，中国大陆正在经历一个农民，就是农村为主的社会到城镇社会为主的这么一个转变，可以说是有这个数亿人由农民进城，特别是我们这一代啊，有60后的这个子孙后代，70后、80后、90后、10后、00后全进城了，所以说这个就是中国社会首先由农民为主的一个社会发展成城市为主的一个社会。我们现在把这些叫进城的，这也叫新市民啊，已经上升到国家战略层面上，要考虑新市民的一个新的生活生态方式，这个背景就是极大了，涉及的人数众多。第二个巨大的发展空间在于我们的人口结构发生重大变化，就是我们60、70、80是一个生育高峰，那现在我们都到了50、60岁，已经快进入老年了，就是我们老龄化已经是一个高峰到来了。另一边来说，我们的90后、10后，这个甚至现在的这个20后，又是少子化，生育率在下降。那么内地概括的就是一对夫妻背后有4个老人，所以这个人口结构导致了这，那么面向人口的这个服务就是极其的巨大的一个社会需求。那么2端，第一段学龄前就托幼婴幼儿的服务在内地的并不是很发达的，小学以后这个是很完善的，但是小学之前这一段是缺的，那是需要社会服务的。另一段养老，往后这一段是比较缺的啊，因为我们没有经历这么庞大的人群的城镇化的养老，过去都是农民呢，农民一生都是自生自灭的一个状态，你农村自家养老就完了，没有社会化养老一说。所以说这个第二个人口面临巨大的一个历史性的一个发展，为我们的面向人口的这个社会化服务带来巨大的一个发展空间。第3个，我们最重大的一个变化，就是说我们中国正在实现现代化。那么这个现代化下，我们首先实现了温饱问题解决了，现在基本上是一个小康社会。其实社会化需求是给这些人的， 真正的富人和绝对贫穷的人，其实两头跟这个关系不是特别之大的啊。那么最低限度那个脱贫就去再解决，其实不是我们社企要干的事儿。那么富人的养老，自己家人家请保姆，一套东西都是齐全的，也不需要我们社会企业来做太多的事情。所以这个现代化给我们带来的社会发展的需要的空间是极其巨大的。第四个，我们现在追求的现代化以后升级版的乡村振兴，那个我觉得才是真正的理想的人类生活的一个方式。说到了就是发达国家的在郊区住别墅跟大自然亲近的这么一个生活方式，就不是传统的农村了，是升级版的一个高级别的一个乡村的一个居住形态。那这个时候就需要现代化的社会服务跟上去，你否则跟老版的农村是没啥区别的。所以总的说下来，我们这4个特点啊，就是新市民化、这个人口结构、现代化发展和我们乡村振兴新版的理想的一个这种社会方式。我觉得这个几个决定了说，我们整个大陆在社会的发展和服务方面，甚至可以说是巨大的产业，是巨大的产业。所以我们就是说，我们做这个事儿啊，那么我们早点探索，应该说是完全是值得的。其实都不需要考虑值不值得，不需要考虑不需要算经济账。刚才李律师已经说过了，金融从业者最容易算钱，社会企业很大程度上先要定性，然后才去盘算挣不挣钱。我觉得可能这么一个，所以这个问题啊，还是
谢谢
您还是问李大律师吧啊。
李主席待会再处理。
好啊。
那可以 ，Do you want to start a question?
Sure. I think why don't I ask one for Roche first? So Roche, just now you painted a very positive picture of the impact investing scene right now. But you and I, we both work for AVP, and so we both know there are challenges behind advancing the kind of vision that we have. So Roche, in your opinion, what other stakeholder needs to participate more in our ecosystem, and how do you think we can accelerate their participation to reach the goals that we have?
That's a really interesting question, Hui. I think that it's very difficult to identify just one single stakeholder that needs to participate more. I think more it needs to be done to change the way that we individually think about our social responsibility and our commitment to our environments and our communities around us. I think that's what Dr. Liu may have been referencing before when he said that we just need to start. We need to think about the impact first and not the finance first. For instance, the advances that he has made through the that I have gained through just my company, just my business, just regular day-to-day financial means. And then the other bucket is my impact capital that I'm looking to put towards social issues and causes that I care about. What if actually both buckets were one? What if all your portfolio was an impact portfolio? And I also would be keen to hear from Lawrence later what he feels it would take to get all investors thinking in that way. And once they do think in that way, then everything else will fall in place, because that's what they will require from policymakers as a supporting environment. That's what we will teach in schools and universities, because students understand when they go into the marketplace, that's what they need to be thinking about. That's what we'll be talking about at home. That's what will be aspirational careers for young people. And that's then we need all of these things to come together.
Thank you, thank you. So before I address the questions to Lawrence, I think I have to say a special thanks to Roche, since their team is super hectic every day. They will be speaking all around Asia in different conferences. So I think I witnessed the inceptions of AVPN in these 10 plus years, starting from just a few members to right now, actually more than several hundreds of them. And we're very proud that Hong Kong being the second or third largest chapter of AVPN. So I think we're very closely working together. So I think right now AVPN, I would say, is not just a regional platform, but a global platform to get the social investing scene to be growing bigger and bigger. So thank you so much, Roche. So Lawrence, I got two parts of my questions. First of all, I think I don't know sometimes I call him a doubter or believer. So I think at the first day when I asked him whether I should set up SGHK, he said yes. But I think he said a lot of doubting things to me. But although he is a doubter, I would call it a doubtful believer. Without him, without his support, I think there will be no SGHK, I have to say. There will be no Light B. So I think we are very proud of these very busy barristers, but spending so much time with us in the social scene. He has been with us. So I think thank you very much. But I think in a way, right now when we talked about impact investing, tell us authentically whether you are a believer or doubter. It's the first part of the question. Second part of the question actually is for the benefit of you. Since you dropped the speech that the FSDC colleague prepared for you, so and in the benefit of you who are not being blamed, so what is the FSDC stand in a way in terms of the promoting impact investing, and in a way that we get to know that we have to attract more different family capital to come to Hong Kong. So I think, would you see that the family impact or family philanthropy would be one of the way? So two part of the questions, thank you. Of course, you have to say that whether you will set up a board for Hong Kong as well.
Thank you, Francis. I think I can answer both questions together. Let me begin by saying that there absolutely is every reason to be nervous speaking to you guys, because I'm probably more of a doubter. And a doubter walking into a hall of believers, you can either just be super arrogant and not see it, or you can be really nervous. And I'm really nervous. But may I say, it is the presence of doubters that highlight the faith. So you need me too. Without me, you will not see the truth of things. I am the person that show what is the proof of things unseen. And the reason I'm a doubter is this. I think fundamentally there's a difference between impact, wanting impact, adding impact as a matrix to investment, and many kinds of social enterprises that many of you are actually involved in. All right, I'm going to pose the embarrassing question. It is trendy. It is, in fact, the ethos of today to add social impact as a metric to everything you do. And that comes from a combination of regulators wanting to do it, governments jumping onto the bandwagon, and let me actually again be true to my nature as a doubter, because financial markets has a habit of needing to find the next hot thing. And impact investing became the next hot thing a few years ago. It probably at least have a few more years of being one of the hot things on the list until something comes up and replace it, okay? And so a confluence of factors, some more fundamental than others. So for example, the fact that in Asia in particular, but the world at large, have gone through a phase, decades of wealth accumulation, and our way of life, our way of teaching the next generation has bred a whole generation of frankly, young tycoons who like to no longer run their family business. It's actually partly also because of economic development, so on and so forth. It's no longer possible for them to be as successful running the family business. They have all actually been well educated. They all think the next thing for them to do is to get into finance. But you know what? They're never going to make as much money as a financier as the guy who puts in 20 hours a day at the trading floor or on the deal, right? So they also have to find things that is special to them. And all these factors added together, some fundamental, some not, some hip, some not, has added a lot of impetus to impact-related metric. Now, we can call that impact investing and so on and so forth, okay? But let's contrast that with social enterprise as many of you are engaged in doing. Many of you are not engaged in finding the next way to cut meat consumption. That is going to make a lot of money, right? That is actually a happy social enterprise. If you are in a social enterprise that says, you know what, actually at core I'm a technology company. It just happened that the technology I'm interested in has the potential of making a great climate saving impact, right? Many of us are involved in social enterprise that is quite close to straightforward charity, right? And we will struggle to find any stock exchange that will want to list us because we will struggle to find a long-term business story. We have a great human story, but at the end of the day, does social enterprise like that has a long-term business story? So I think at the end of the day, we need to realize, because we need to realize this to be fair to everyone. Sorry, I really am sounding like a doubter, am I not? Is there will be social enterprise listing boards that will be fantastically successful. There will be chapters of AVPNs and conferences that has to do with impact investing and using capital to make a change that will change the way we are able to achieve a better world. But it is not going to include every social enterprise as we now understand it to be. And increasingly, you will see that the poster children, the poster child, that we will be able to point to as fantastically successful social enterprises at a stock exchange level or at a regional level, they are going to be international things. They are, by definition, going to be. Actually, I see someone reminding me of time, but as a doubter, I'm going to go on. One of the first conferences that Francis sent me to was fully, 20 years ago, 15 years ago in Tokyo, to Tokyo Ventures, Social Ventures Tokyo, one of our early partners. And I was speaking to this Japanese gentleman about, and he had invited some social enterprise from mainland too, and we were sharing our experiences. And it was very, very clear that the mainland social enterprises had scale, was addressing a social need that's much more replicable. I remember one of the social enterprise entrepreneur of the day, 20 years ago, was talking about he actually just needed to start a school on the outskirts of Beijing to teach farmers or agriculture workers the basics of working in a factory. And he was talking about how he employs his business skills to do that training school, and it scaled up massively. He made enough money for this to be sustainable, so on and so forth. And I'm sitting there next to the Japanese friend and saying, actually, you know what? That's the future of social enterprise. There is scale, there's social need, there's replicability, and there is a business case and all the rest of it. And whereas what I was doing in Hong Kong was frankly, actually a lot closer to social service. And I remember the Japanese friend said, Lawrence, I know, but for us in Japan, we want to hear from you because we share much more in common in that we are both well-developed places. We are solving problems that are different. Now, after 20 years, I realized it's not just a matter of whether you're developed or not developed. It's actually also social structure. It's also a matter of whether the government has already gotten into providing certain services, which crowds out the entrepreneurs, so on and so forth. But I think what it underscores is this. What it underscores is all this excitement about using capital for good. There's a limit to it too. There is a limit to what kind of problems are at the end of the day going to be susceptible to a discounted return. Because there remains many social problems and social issues that can only be solved if you do not ask about return at all. And for those social problems, I'm afraid, they will never get to Dr. Liu's listing board. They will never become the big poster child. But I want to return to one of the things I said when I was on the stage. Actually, personally, I think those are the social enterprises that are most heartwarming. They might not be the most exciting social enterprise to share in a conference. They might not get very nice PPTs. They might not be able to say they have changed the lives of 1 million people. But they are the social enterprises that really deeply change the lives of 10 people. And let's not forget those.
Thank you, Lawrence. Actually, I was just looking at the iPad and I realized that you have already answered one of the questions that came from the audience, which thank you very much for your question. That was for someone asked, what was missing, and there's a lot of support and a lot of small social enterprises, and there's a lot of money for impact investment. So how do we bridge the gap between that? So thank you, Lawrence. I think you quite, comprehensively answered that. But I also have another question here. It's about pipeline and about, how can we create more social ventures with strong impact, business models that are attractive for investors. And I had the pleasure of having breakfast with Dr. Liu this morning, and we were also talking about how, social enterprises
其实总的问题这么一个问题，我想回答这个问题呢，我个人是这么一个认知第一，首先我们要向社会企业从业者表示崇高的敬佩，因为这个就是搞社会企业其实是非常非常之困难的。那么我们现在已经投入到这个行业里边的从业人员，其实是有情怀的也就是说不一定都是完全从商业考量的所以说这个是值得敬佩的一个叫社会事业也好，行业也好，职业也好。我觉得这是我们首先在全社会可能要先树立这么一个是非标准。第二，大家问到的问题，其实也就是说，这个怎么样让政府能够相信、支持我们这个社会企业的这么一个发展，让资本能够认同和参与我们社会企业的这么一个发展。其实这个里边我概括下来，首先我们要突破一个理念，也就是说社会企业这个理念，我觉得非常好，也就是说用商业化的方式来解决社会的需求，解决社会的难题。这个理念是非常重要的。第一，这个理念突破了传统的从慈善这个理念，从慈善就是我从善心出发，我给你提供支持，我不讲经济回报的，这是基本上这么一个概念。政府传统的帮扶社会也可以划分到 传统慈善这个范畴里边。第二，我觉得突破了一个最为重要的概念，就是突破了传统资本的一个倾向。资本是我们大家都定性它就是逐利的，以讲回报为第一位的。但是我们社会企业追求的目标是解决社会问题，所以说这个两个突破，第一个突破了传统的慈善的一个理念和做法，第二个突破了传统的资本以逐利为唯一目的的一个做法。所以说社会企业的理念就是我要用商业化的市场化的方式来促进社会问题的解决。这个实际上它不是跨界的问题，它是完全跳出了这两个传统，创立了一个全新的一个理念和具体做法，这个就完全不一样了。所以就说最后一点我要回答的就是说，我个人从我的思考来说，第一，我当给我这个提案以后，我马上判断这是符合我们追求社会共同富裕理想的。第二，我有这个能力能帮助做一下，我能做决定，我就立马做了这个决定了。虽然大家现在说可能是超前的、创新的但是我们也没想那么多，反正能做我们就做了。第三呢，最重要的，结合刚才说的两个突破理念的意思，就是说，我们的社会企业版跟证券交易所的 IPO 不是一回事儿，大家一定要想清楚这个那我是专门针对社会企业的，我知道它就是中小企业，很小，不符合股权投资者，也就是传统的资本家的选投资企业的那个眼光不符合，不是他的菜，我知道不是他的菜。所以说我本身就是专门针对社会企业搞的。如果说让这个传统的股权投资者来看的话，他连我整个区域股权市场都看不上，因为他觉得你那些企业太小，都是中小企业，什么时候我投进去才能翻若干倍的回报做不到他连我都看不上，更看不上我们中小微的社会企业。所以说你不突破这个，资本是看不上眼的。所以我们的理念就是要引导一部分资本向善，让资本在有能够弥补成本的条件之下，能够促进它向善，把社会企业这些往前做。所以我觉得这个突破对传统的资本来说，你首先要跳出一个纯资本回报的一个概念。所以我反复强调，我的社会企业版跟你那个证券交易所要求的上市公司 IPO 不是一回事儿。你别拿那个标准来要求我，你要求我那些企业，你一家都看不上了。所以说，我们的重点在于说，我的这个交易场所，我的这套交易机制和平台，我重点利用社会企业这个理念，用商业化的方式、市场化的机制来促进解决社会问题。那我操作的重点就聚焦在，我是搜集、筛选、培育、孵化社会企业为主，我的目标定位在这个地方。所以你不要拿上市公司的标准、股权投资标准来要求我，你动不动要求股权投资以后就要回报要快，而且还要翻好多番，我做不到。这是一个你不能要求我。第二个，我是在培育这个企业，同时来说这些企业，因为我们的社会化的需求是个产业性的需求，它也有可能做强做大，有发展的空间在。所以我说我们大陆的社会企业有巨大的发展空间，但是综合下来，从事社会企业是需要一定的情怀，是我们值得尊敬的。在社会企业的发展过程中，我觉得困难应该是非常非常多的，因为社会企业本身处在早期，处在发展的探索摸索时期。香港比我们走得早一点，我估计也就早个10年20年所以说整个社会企业，我觉得未来来说是我们未来社会非常重要的早期企业。仅仅从资本市场、资本投资眼光看，这是一些早期企业，有可能会出现好苗子。就像我刚才说的，我们挂牌的企业里边有一家已经和我们港交所的一个要在港交所上市的一个公司在谈并购， 因为它缺少这一个产业一个环节，它如果收购这个环节，能够把它的整个产业链条弥补全了。所以我听完以后，他们给我汇报以后，我觉得我们的判断可能是对的。社会企业里边也有可能有好苗子，也就是说，社会企业和资本市场结合是有一定的合理性和发展空间的。基本上总的说啊，我觉得社会企业是一个特殊的企业类型，是我们解决社会发展和社会需求特殊的一种方式，也叫一种创新的方式。啊，也再概括一句，我们要跳出传统慈善，跳出传统的逐利资本的范畴来看待社会企业的发展。我不知道我说清楚没有，我基本上是这么一个观点。好，我就回答这么多啊。
谢谢。So I think I myself actually is always juggling between whether I'm a doubter or believer. But I think something I have to echo with what Dr. Liu said. I think I always believe that what we are doing right now is still at the infant stage. I think it's very important for us to go back to the principles behind all these things. I think it's very important that it is a reminder to how we are operating the world right now. It might not be necessary to be perfectly right. I think we have to realize that. So I think if we can deeply thinking with reflecting with what we have been doing right now, I think we will keep on inventing the new ways. Way forward, it could be more than a conference, more than a listing board, or more than a lot of investment methods. I think that's something very core is the compassion to the society, our compassion to the earth, what we have been doing. I think it's a reminder. So I think with that, I think maybe we have just 1 minute left, maybe no, but I think just 3 minutes. It's good enough for us to wrapping up the sections by getting everyone, Lekhe included. Why don't we all wrap up with one word of the whole sections, or your visions about the future, or some encouragement, word of encouragement for the people here. I think, why don't we start with Rosh? Can you use one word to summarize or to provide us with some wisdom?
That's a really difficult question, Francis. But perhaps I would just say determination. Leveraging
sorry, it was a breaking. Termination or determination?
Determination.
Oh, yes, just joking. Thank you.
Because this is a growing space. There are a lot of challenges, no doubt, but there's still a lot of ways in which we can transform the ecosystem, a lot of ways in which small businesses can refine and build on their models so that they will support the communities, but they will also earn a financial return. So I encourage everyone to have some determination in the weeks and years to come.
Thank you. Liu 博士。
我想，如果用一个字的话，就是创，创新的创，开创的创。也就是说，我们要有勇气。首先，你要摸索，要往前干，不畏艰难。我觉得这个是我说的一个基本话啊。但是我最后占用一点时间，我想把我们四川出的伟大的领袖邓小平的2句话转述给大家。第一句，发展是硬道理，一定要向前。第二句，不管白毛黑毛，抓住老鼠就是好猫。我们不能在方式、方法等等上纠结过多，创，干了再说。
Something similar, purpose. In Chinese, I would think of it as 初心, 初心. Because at the end of the day, it's not about whether you can tap into the capital. It's not about whether you are the next hip thing. It's not about whether you qualified for this bucket of social investing and that bucket of impact funds. It's what you want to do. At the end of the day, it's the problem that you feel passionate about. It's the problems that you got me to be passionate about. And it's that purpose that makes it worthwhile. It's not the fact that you can be scaled up or cannot be scaled up. And I think that at the end of the day, what defines a social entrepreneur or social enterprise, or how it is a social enterprise rather than just a commercial enterprise, is because it has a different purpose. It looks at different purposely. It looks at purpose differently. It has a different original heart.
Wow, I have to go after all of that. Maybe I'll use the word care, because I think why we are here at, what time is it now? It's almost 6 o'clock, and you've been here for the whole day, is because you care. And I think that it's very important that what we are doing is very different from what is out there in the world. And I hope that everyone can keep caring about what you do, despite, you know, all the emails that come in and all the difficulties that we face. Like, we have to continue to care for what we do. And at the same time, I would say, you know, care for yourself as well, right? We can only do good for others when we are in a good state ourselves. So I think no matter what challenges that are out there, you know, and we are looking at such huge problems like how are we going to change the entire capital markets, or how are we going to change the ecosystem, I think it all starts with, you know, do we care enough?
If I may, I will spell out my word as well. So I think it is appreciation. So I think as what Lacquer said, I think fundamental questions is whether we still care. So I think I would see that right now we have to celebrate. After 10 plus years, the SE Summit, we still got a big crowd from different sectors coming together. Roche and colleagues is trying so hard in influencing the world to come to the scene. Many professionals in mainland China, we are trying different ways. So I think the fundamental questions is whether we still care. And then I would see that right now, as what Dr. Liu said, I have a big appreciation to the social entrepreneur as well, trying so hard every day, every night, even sleeping. I think I see hope through these things, and you guys as well. From your eyes, I see that kind of hopes that I appreciate so much. Thank you very much, and please give a big round of applause to the all panelists.
Thank you to Lawrence, thank you Dr. Liu, and thank you to Roche. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Roche.